Hi, welcome to this afternoon's podcast where we're going to discuss entrepreneurship, and I've got my host again with me here.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Antoinette. Welcome.
Thanks. Hi, Antoinette. And then we've got our special guest here as well this afternoon. Would you just like to introduce yourself?
Okay, thank you very much for inviting me to this program. My name is Victor. I work in the higher education space where I'm involved in the training of entrepreneurs and small businesses.
Fantastic. Well, there you have it. Let's get talking. Right, so I've started a business way back in 1994. I just took the plunge and I started a small business, also a small training business, and did a bit of graphic design. I never really knew what I was in for. I didn't look at any stats. I didn't go to any business school. I was very much hopeful, and I had a lot of faith and in my abilities. Yet, a few years later, I found that I had acquired too much debt. I had gone over my head. I grew too fast. So is there any advice that you would give to entrepreneurs to watch out for? What are the pitfalls to sort of watch out for, especially in the first year or two?
I think for me, the best thing that entrepreneurs could do is to think long term and not run for immediate gratification, you know. I think so many local businesses, they strike one deal, they want to buy a car, they want to live in Camps Bay. But for me, I think they need to reinvest their profits into the business,
right, and
think long term. Delay gratification. The car can come later on, but you need to build the business first.
When you say long term, would you say they've got to actually write down a business plan for themselves?
Yes.
I've heard of that.
Yes, you need to have a big business plan which basically highlights your idea. What is that you want to do? How are you going to do it? How are your cash flows going to look like? What's your long-term plan? You know, so the business plan is quite critical.
You don't recommend that you just fly off the seat of your pants. You just get started and then whatever happens.
No, that's a recipe for disaster. You could fly blind, but definitely it's going to hit you back.
It's going to hit you.
I've noticed a lot on social media, on YouTube especially, where there are business people that give advice on how to grow your business, etc., where they say, bollocks, you don't need a business plan. What do you say about that? What do you say to that? Because there's quite a few of them that say you don't need one. I'm not saying it. Yeah. I'm not saying I agree with it.
What did you do?
What I did was, I'm under construction. I'm work in progress constantly. Right. So I'm constantly trying to up my higher learning. And I do as many courses as I can. And right now I'm actually doing a basic course on how to write a perfect business plan. Business strategy, how to apply business strategy.
But you know, I don't want to. Okay, so when I look back on myself, it was like trial and error and really the persistence that I have. But you know that you would mostly a person would start out on a business path on something that he knows or he's got a passion for. Because I mean, I don't want to use Elon Musk as an example, but I mean, when he started out building space rockets, I mean, he knew nothing about space rockets. He came from the background of PayPal, and now he purely had this passion and this idea that we should get into space, and if nobody's doing it, he's going to do it. And the way that he studied was he read books about it and he associated with clubs. I think he joined the Mars Society. So, for your students as well, do they collaborate, have clubs, have gatherings, how do you get that spark going and that passion going for entrepreneurship?
I think for me, if I look at the student that we deal with, the entrepreneurship culture is not very well developed, you know. When they enroll at university, the idea is to get the degree or diploma and get employed.
Right.
So I think as higher education institutions, we need to develop a culture of entrepreneurship, you know, to say, you don't just enroll at a university or college in order for you to graduate and look for employment, but you could potentially become a successful business person like Elon Musk or all these others.
But what would your tips be then to create this culture? Because I agree with you totally. It's like our parents say, you know, they just want you to get a good job. If you talk about starting your own business, then they look at you funny. But what tips would you give a young person that's starting out? Because I mean, if you look at Google and information, there's so much information. How important maybe is having a mentor or some guidance?
Yeah, that's where I was going to get to, you know, that most of these students, especially young people, they need mentors, they need role models, people from their own communities who have worked very hard and are running successful businesses. But for now, the people that teach them are just teachers. They talk about entrepreneurship, but they don't have anything to show for it. So I think we need to bring as many mentors and role models into the education space so that our students can learn from them, you know, then they can start to develop that kind of culture. You know,
but what about capital? You know, getting started with capital, or because I know I had capital when I started, but when the capital ran dry, then the business ran dry. How what importance would you put on capital, or is the passion for it more important than the capital, or how would you say?
I mean, you can't start anything without a bit of knowledge and a bit of passion for what you're doing. Right. If you don't enjoy it, why are you doing it? You know, and if you're an entrepreneur, usually you're going to be doing something that you actually want to do.
Right.
You're not going to start a business building rockets and you hate rockets. Right, yeah. So I would say the passion is very important, but so is the capital. You have to reinvest, like you say, whatever you're making, the car can wait. The luxury can wait. Reinvest that money back into your business and let it just churn and grow and repeat the process.
Do you
for me, I think the lack of capital is overemphasized. Okay. I believe, like what she's saying, that wherever there's a will, there is a way. Right. You know, capital is one of the requirements, but not the main requirements. Right. The idea, the opportunity, and the passion are more important. Yeah. And you could have a very brilliant idea, you collaborate with others with capital. So networking is also very important.
Yes.
Yes. You could make it without capital, but with a very good network and support structures.
You see, I've found as I grew in my business how important networking has become, because I would go out in the afternoons in those days and I would go and look for small retailers that wanted to put ads in the paper because I was designing their ads. But if you don't go knock on their doors and say, I see you've advertised in the papers, I'd open up the newspaper and see who's advertising. And then I'd go to Mr. Joel's and say, I see you advertising, how much are you paying? So there's a lot of hustling and pushing. That's
That's sales. And I don't know about you guys, but I believe that everything is sales.
You've got to sell yourself.
Every day we're doing sales. Right. In every interaction. I'm selling myself to this audience right now. Like, that's what we do. Right. So, and if you cannot sell your product, right, it's going to be difficult to make a success, I think.
Just to emphasize again on the issue of the networking, the importance of networking, that, you know, your net worth goes as far as how big your network is, you know, and you don't necessarily have to network with people within your surroundings. You need to go beyond your boundaries. Link up with people who've done far much better than what you can imagine. Right. Then you get that motivation that you can do it.
But would that be joining clubs, or how would you reach out and network?
Yeah, you gotta get out of your comfort zone. Right. You know, go try play golf. Go join these professional associations. Yeah. You know, go beyond your usual way of life, your comfort zone. Meet people that you have never met before. Talk to people that you have never talked to before.
You know what? I've experienced it from myself as well. Is that when you got to network or go to people that, it's better to go to people that know a little bit more than yourself and have achieved what you're trying to achieve. Exactly. But it's sometimes difficult to have access to them. But what I have found is that what makes it a little bit easier is if you can show them something that you've already started. You know, so if I go to a mentor and I say, this is my business idea. I would not wanting, because I would want to diversify in many new different businesses, but then I would say, this is what I've done so far in the last 3 months. What do you think? Then starting with nothing and then asking advice, because that person is going to look at you and say, yeah, but what have you started, you know? So getting actually started is so important, but again, as you say, that culture of entrepreneurship, I think, do you think that people want things too easily? It's like they don't want to put in the hard work, they want to reap too soon.
Yeah, that's why I talked about immediate gratification,
Yeah.
that you start a business today, tomorrow you want to buy a car, you want to buy a house. Things don't work like that. You have to put in the hours first, you know. And entrepreneurship is not easy, you know. It's sleepless nights, it's 24 hours of work.
And you're the jack of all trades in the beginning. You do you sweep, you do the admin, you pack the boxes. You know, you just literally. I sat trying to design my website.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how far it went.
Right.
Because funds are low, you have to do everything yourself. But also in the long run, I find that it holds you in good stead, because then you know exactly what's going on. It's obviously not going to be that way forever, because you have to let go and you can't do everything yourself. But in the beginning, I think it's really good to don all those hats so that you can learn on how your business actually functions and all the compartments that make up your business.
So have you assisted people or entrepreneurs setting up their registration, their sole proprietor registration and these things? Because people starting a business, that's one of the first things that they ask is, how do I get registered? And it's not so difficult.
No,
but
not at all.
Very simple.
Yeah.
You know,
Very simple.
registering a company on this CIPC website takes a few minutes, you know,
Right.
but many people don't know about it. They think that it's a very complicated, very expensive process, but it is not.
It's not so expensive
Exactly.
I remember a few years back when I tried to start my very first business, this is years and years and years ago. We actually employed someone to do that for us, because we thought, what do we know? I don't know how to register a business. And we paid this person who wasn't even in Cape Town, it was in Johannesburg, and there was emails daily back and forth. I did my business registration myself. It took me, I think, 40 minutes. Paid, done, dusted, chip. I think, and I got my registration information back less than a week back later.
You know, I think, again, if I think of myself and how I started, it was difficult in those days because you had to stand in rows and rows, you know, where it wasn't online as easy as today. But I remember I was chatting to one person that had a little stationery business that was supplying the schools. But, you know, she had everything in order. She had her paperwork in order. She had the schools identified. But yet she found it difficult to get into the schools or to get into certain markets. It's like there's barriers to it. Certain industries or markets, it's as if you knock on the doors and you're up against barriers. Do you find that with certain industries?
Yeah, you know, for me, I think it's quite prevalent because people prefer to do business with people that they know and people that they trust.
Right.
So it's all about you establishing and building relationships with those people. Then they can open up their doors.
And that can open up the doors.
Exactly. But for there to be a relationship, there has to be trust. You have to perform and you have to be honest.
Yes.
You have to meet your obligations.
Yes.
You know? Yeah.
You see, the thing is now, if I look back, especially because I'm in training, right? So I had tried the schools and I had knocked on many schools to offer them like special courses, because in these days, a lot of the schools have got their own little computer department or little computer lab, even at school levels now. But even if you've got a good track record of what you offer, it's very difficult to get into the schools because they always have to say, look, this is my school and I'm the headmaster, but I don't have all that authority. It's first got to be okayed with this council or the teachers council or the the parents' council, because who's this person that we don't know coming in? So it's very difficult to establish it with, let's say, government organizations or government type of organizations. Whereas if you approach a small business or an entrepreneurial-like business, it's almost like you're going straight to the decision maker, and things just happen a little bit quicker.
But for me, one way you can overcome that challenge is to use networking. For you to get to A, you can go through B because B knows A. So get to know people who know people who know people to give you access to those people.
There's an idea.
So it's all about the relationship, quality of relationship that you build.
Yes.
So if you want to get to C, but you don't know C, but C knows B, and you know B, you go to B and ask for a referral to the person.
Or set up a meeting with all three of us.
Exactly.
Yeah. Then instead of going to that person directly, you might know somebody that he knows.
Introduce me?
Yeah, introduction.
Just a great introduction.
Yeah.
But you gotta have a track record. They cannot introduce you if you failed to meet obligations.
Yes.
So there has to be a track record.
You see, and that's where I think a lot of the entrepreneurs actually fail, is because they take shortcuts, and eventually the market is going to know about the shortcuts you're taking. They want to grow too fast, and then they're not delivering a good product, or they don't have everything in place, and then the people remember the mistakes. And they don't remember the good things. So you've got to be very careful. Your reputation is actually everything.
When preparing for today, I read something interesting that it said, go in asking questions so that you can find out what they need. And if you cannot meet that requirement, then you know off the bat, and you can actually say to them, actually, I'm not the right person for you because I can't really do that. But I've got somebody I can refer. And that is one way to build trust within that organization that you've gone to, because now they'll remember you. Oh, this guy was so honest. And they might refer you. So it's using rapport, your sales technique, but going in, asking questions, and building that trust in that manner. Does it make sense?
Linked to what she's saying is most of these small businesses are always looking for new customers.
Right.
Because they've messed up the previous relationship, And it's far much more expensive to look for a new customer than to keep an existing one. So build a strong network, a bigger, huge customer profile by treating your customers well. Then they can refer you to new customers,
You see, keeping your customer is so important, but then to keep that customer, it's really also about your communication skills, because how important is communication skills in small business? Because, a lot of the time I look at small business owners and their product is great, but their communication in terms of selling their product or getting it across or maintaining that relationship is, to me, I see it, there's a lot of difficulties in it. Let me give you an example. Okay, so you get a maintenance person, right? So a person can maintain, he can be a plumber, he can be a maintenance person, he can be a entrepreneur, a small business owner, and he might just struggle to communicate, but let's say he gets that job done and he gets that job done well, that person will refer him, but first impressions count. And if that person gets called on the phone and you can't sell or be available or, give the impression that you're eager to do it,
if you can't communicate,
you can't communicate it, because remember, where does the communication skills happen? Is over the phone. It's a lot with social media. It's a lot with texting, and people can't write.
How would you say one overcomes that issue?
For me, I would look at it from two perspectives. The first one is, I think most of these small entrepreneurs, they overpromise and underdeliver.
Amen.
Because they want to please the customer and end up, chewing more than what they can, or biting more than what they can swallow, so to speak. For instance, I've dealt with plumbers, the artisans like builders.
Right.
They contract 5 big jobs, but they don't have capacity. So So they promise A, I'm coming to your house tomorrow. Promise B, I'm coming in the afternoon.
Yeah.
But knowing fully well that all that is a lie.
Yes,
Then the relationship is broken.
Yes.
So it's all about honesty. It's all about telling the truth that I'm very sorry, I'm willing to take this job,
Right.
but I can only do it next week or next of next week.
Right.
But they take on all the jobs and keep,
Because they see the money coming
exactly,
in.
keep
And then
customers
they,
waiting.
And then they've spent the deposit before they even bought the material needed.
And keep on promising, I'm coming tomorrow, and the like.
Yeah.
Then along the way, the relationship is broken.
So in other words, when you're talking about communication skills, it's not just what you say, it's all the excuses you make.
Exactly. So it's
You know?
about
Following through.
Exactly.
And follow through with what you're going to say. Something simple as, I'll call you at 3 o'clock. Call at 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
Don't call at 20 past 3 because she said she's going to call at 3. It's after. That little bit, it's all those planting of doubt in that person's mind.
Yeah.
But if you, 5 to 3 are at that phone and you're calling at the time you said, it just, she's punctual. It builds trust.
Yeah.
So building trust in every single way. But I also with the selling yourself, if you can't communicate properly on the phone, then you must take responsibility for yourself. I think there's 8 working habits that exist that I live by, and one of them is take control. If you can't do something, teach yourself how to do it.
Right.
I need to up my communication skill. I don't know how to build rapport.
Right.
I don't know how to build a relationship with a potential client. Google, YouTube, ask a friend. Reach out to somebody that's going to teach you where you are lacking.
Yeah, because you're really in the people's business. Because you are with students the whole time, with clients. You're in the people business. So you have to be a good communicator because people is the most important part of any business. Now, I just want to wrap it up now with when we talk about small business and entrepreneurship. Now, we don't have a culture of it, but I do see a lot of people now starting earning money through YouTube, and now everybody wants to become a YouTuber. You know, if you take a young person and say, you want to become an entrepreneur? Yes, I want to become an entrepreneur. The first thing he wants to be is a YouTuber. You know, everybody, all the young people wants to be, and then they think the money's going to come in. Now it does, but it's not. You know, they see the people successful on YouTube, but it's not so easy. What looks easy is not so easy as well. And it's not to say that those people that looks easy and are successful YouTubers, it's not to say they don't have a overall business plan and overall good in all the aspects of business, whether it's finance, whether it's people, whether it's delivering a good product, or all of those networking, all the things we mentioned. And that is why I say with entrepreneurship, yes, entrepreneurship is the answer, but it's like saying everybody wants to be a singer, everybody wants the stage. They don't want to get into the trenches and do the hard work that comes with it. But I do, and this is what I want to wrap up with, I do believe that if you set your mind to something and you've got a passion for it and you work hard at it persistently, you've got to deliver fruit. It's got to deliver little successes.
It's micro steps to macro goals, and you eat an elephant bite by bite. Literally, there is no other way for you to have success if you keep at it on a daily basis. And yes, you'll be disappointed, and yes, people will try and stab you in the back, and yes, business is cutthroat, and your supplier doesn't come, and this and that and the other. Just consistency and work with integrity. Be trustworthy.
Right. Thanks.
So linked to that, you were talking about Elon Musk.
Right.
Many people don't know that he used to work in a restaurant, used to wash dishes and serve customers in a restaurant. So you start out from somewhere, you start out small and grow big. You don't just go boom, you're a billionaire and all that. But I also wanted to add the fact that, creativity is very important, innovation. Don't just join the bandwagon. You want to be a YouTuber, you want to run a taxi. Yeah. Think of other ideas that are unique.
There could be a niche.
Exactly. Good opportunities,
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. So find the opportunity in whatever segment you're going for. find the niche, find the opportunity within that.
Think of something different,
Different,
something
yeah.
unique, you know,
Yes.
that could make you stand out. And
Right.
And add value.
Exactly.
If there's gaps in the market, if you can add value, I would say jump at it.
And do you find as a teacher yourself that you've got to motivate your students, or would you want them to be self-motivated? To what
yeah, I would want them
extent?
to be self-motivated,
Right.
you know. But I see that the culture of creativity is still a major challenge. Everybody wants to run a spaza shop. Everybody wants to have a taxi, you know.
Yeah.
We're losing our inventors. Nobody's inventing anything anymore.
Yes, everybody.
We're recycling the same
Everybody wants to
ideas.
start a church. Everybody wants to do the same things, but I think the opportunity lies in how you look at something differently and see where the opportunity lies. Because even if I take myself, there is in training there is so much opportunity, but sometimes it's not just the different courses you offer, but even now with taking up a small business challenge like the small business forum we're doing now, it's something different, and it's another branch that is linked to your business of training. Because if you're teaching, whether you're teaching to 2 or 3 students, or whether you're teaching to the masses out there through a video, you still are trying to convey a message or convey something that you believe in, that could be of use to that person. Yeah, so I really want to thank my guest Victor for coming out this afternoon, and also Antoinette, thank you very much for participating. I think, guys, what we've realized is that entrepreneurship is the way out really for the current situation we have, where there is not a lot of jobs going around, and even people that are qualified don't get the jobs that they are qualified for. So you've got to start something. But as we've said in what we've chatted about today, is we've got to persist and develop that culture of being innovative, being creative, starting a new business, and overcoming all the obstacles through mentorship and through asking. And it certainly can work. So I'm just going to ask Victor just to end off just by anything he wants to say about his current work, or what he wants to tell his students. Any message out there? Last word or message?
Thank you very much for inviting me to this program. And my last word is, go out there, push the boundaries. You can be whoever you want to be.
Fantastic, fantastic. Your last message.
My last message is a question for Victor. What would you say, just to our viewers quickly, is one of the major things to look out for so that your business doesn't fail within the first few years?
Hey, that's quite an interesting.
That's a question on it.
I would say learn from the others who've done it, who've walked the road.
Yeah, walk in the footsteps of those that's already achieved it. That's the best advice we can have. So, guys, it's better to work on your own business than working on somebody else's business. Climb your own ladder. Better to climb your own ladder than climbing on somebody else's ladder, because the future is going to come. And it's best to start now and to learn as much as you can. Thank you very much. Great stuff.